Hello everybody, this is the Prime Minister of the House uploading my speech. Mr. Speaker, today before uploading my speech I want to say something about a very important word of medical science today, that is vaccination. Mr. Speaker, today at present world the parents want to do everything so that children gets a good life, free from diseases, protected from diseases in future. And Mr. Speaker, vaccination is the best way to do it. Mr. Speaker, if our children don't get vaccinated, then in future he may suffer various types of diseases which may at the end cause losing of organs, brain damage, and even death and cancer, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, to prevent diseases including measles, mumps, whooping cough, diphtheria, pneumonia, and so on, there is no other alternative than vaccinating your child. Now, Mr. Speaker, all vaccines undergo long and careful reviews of scientists, doctors, and federal government department before getting finally published in the market. So there is no security. The security factor or the risks of those vaccines are very less, that is almost negligible. In this situation, Mr. Speaker, as the Prime Minister of the House, I am going to raise a proposal, and the proposal is, as a doctor, this House would vaccinate children who they treat with or without parental consent. Now, Mr. Speaker, treating or vaccinating any children with parental consent is absolutely fine. So where is the debate over here? So, Mr. Speaker, today the debate over here is with the word without parental consent. Mr. Speaker, if necessary, me and my team do believe that our children should be vaccinated even without parental consent. Now, Mr. Speaker, when I am telling this, two questions will generally rise in everyone's mind. What are these questions? The questions are why and how. Mr. Speaker, today I will try to answer the questions of I want to give the answer of both the questions, Mr. Speaker. First, Mr. Speaker, let's come to the question why. To answer it, I have divided the standpoint of my team into two parts. What are the parts, Mr. Speaker? Number one is superstition of parents, and number two is moral obligation of doctors. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me tell you something about superstition of parents, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at present day many parents believe that if a children gets vaccinated, then he would suffer from autism. Some believe that his immune system would get damaged, and some people believe that it is not necessary at all. And Mr. Speaker, some people believe that it is against religion, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, these are totally superstition, and these points have no base, and it is illogical. But Mr. Speaker, the saddest part is, based on this point, many parents do not vaccinate their children, which put the life of their children into a threat, Mr. Speaker. And for this reason, Mr. Speaker, the healthcare for all program gets a total threat, and a long time effect falls on the whole society, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, there is no question or debate about the aim or the want of the parents. The parents always want the good of their children, and when they do not vaccinate their children, they think it as good. They think it not vaccinating their children is a good thing. Now, Mr. Speaker, they do it out of ignorance. They do it out of superstition. Now, Mr. Speaker, they do not want to harm their children. But Mr. Speaker, a doctor knows that if a children don't get vaccine, then he may be under threat of various physical obligations in the future. He may become an easy victim of various types of diseases, which may ruin his future, which may even cause death, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is the rule of world to face ignorance and superstition with education, to meet ignorance and superstition with knowledge. So, Mr. Speaker, a doctor with all his knowledge cannot just fall down against the demand of some superstitious parents, Mr. Speaker, because this would ultimately put the life of the children into risk, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if a children is not vaccinated, then he can become an easy victim of various diseases, and as I said earlier, it can even cause death. But Mr. Speaker, the worst part is not this. There is something beyond it. Mr. Speaker, if a children does not get vaccinated, he may become victim of various communicable diseases at the end of the day, which he can easily transmit to a child who is not even old enough to get vaccinated. He can transmit those diseases to a man with a weak immune system. He can transmit those diseases to a person suffering from cancer. So, Mr. Speaker, just because of the demand of some superstitious parents who are living in a world of ignorance, we cannot risk, at the first place, we cannot risk the life of the children who is not vaccinated due to the demand of their parents. We cannot risk the life of an innocent child who is not even old enough to get vaccinated. We cannot risk the life of an innocent person with a weak immune system, and we cannot risk the life of a person who is already bothered enough by cancer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the reasons which a doctor knows very well. He knows these risks very well, and Mr. Speaker, by knowing all these risks and the long-term effect of not vaccinating a child, he cannot just let a child go away without vaccination because of the demand of their parents. This is absolutely not logical, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question towards the opponent will be, if a person or a doctor agrees not to vaccinate a child because of the demand of their parents, will you be able to give guarantee that the child won't be victim of different diseases in the future? And would you be able to give guarantee to me that if a child gets affected by these diseases, he won't transmit those diseases to some innocent people? I don't think so. You can't give any guarantee to me. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me come to my point. How? That is, how a doctor would vaccinate a children if their parents don't want. And in this situation, Mr. Speaker, he can ask the government, and the government can intervene in this situation. And in this case, the parents, even if they do not want, will have no other option rather than vaccinating their own child. Now, Mr. Speaker, John Seder, back in 2009, a famous doctor, has written a book known as The New Plague, and in that book he wrote the superstitious decision of not vaccinating a children by their parents as a dangerous and a misconceptional damaged decision of parents. And he has said this because he has found cases where children have suffered a lot because of not getting vaccinated, and when he inquired about it, he found that their parents, because of superstition, did not let their child to be vaccinated. Now, Mr. Speaker, today my deputy will come up with some new points, and he will give some more statistics, and our whip will give some head-to-head clash. And Mr. Speaker, I believe after it would be crystal clear about why this proposal should be passed in the parliament. Till then, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to all.